Hi New Life Church, I'm Joy Addison, and some of you may know me, some don't, but that's okay. Pete and Kaz have asked me to share a testimony of how God has worked in my life, and one that's come to mind is from a few years ago now, but it still gives me courage and hope for today and times when I wonder whether I'm still on track with what God wants me to do and when life throws its curveballs at me. I'll just quickly backtrack to the beginning of the story. It was when Sarah, which is my youngest child, was very small, and so that's probably 15, 17 years ago, nearly, and I like to have lemon myrtle in my tea, and I didn't have any more leaves left, and the trees that I had were a distance away where I normally pick them from, and I just was unable to get out of the house at that short time, and I just groaned, oh, even a cup of tea is hard. The kids were small and I just was struggling with the ups and downs of what was happening with them at the moment. And a couple of days later, maybe it was the next week actually, the council came along into our street and started planting some trees up the walkway, the pathway areas on the green reserve part, and I was thinking, oh, that's a bit silly of the council putting these trees under the power lines. And I was thinking, oh, that's not a very good idea. Anyway, they planted about 10 trees. A little later, I was down near the bottom of my driveway and I happened to go over and have a look at the trees that were planted. And I looked at the leaf and I went, oh, you're kidding, that's a lemon myrtle. And there was two just near the end of our driveway, and they were all up around the cul-de-sac, and I just stood dumbfounded. And I was humbled in my spirit to know that God had not given just one, but he'd planted a whole grove in my cul-de-sac just near where I was. So there was no confusion about how difficult it was to get there. And I was thinking back of all the trees the council planted, it was a lemon myrtle, the one that I wanted nearby so that I could easily pick. So I had to have a chuckle after that, after I'd repented and said, sorry God for being so unthankful about these trees being planted, look what you've provided. And I was just humbled that God was, even in the midst of turmoil and unsettled times and difficult days, he's there and gives us the things we need to get through the day. And not just that, he answers the desires of our heart, something that blesses us uniquely for who we are, who he's created us to be. You know, it's something that he knows is, when you want to give a gift to someone, you want to make it something special that the other person really appreciates. And it was just felt like that for me that day when I realized that God had provided. A short time later, I was reading a devotional and it was talking about lemon myrtles, and I was just humbled even more by the meaning of the myrtle. I went, Lord, that's what you planted, a grove in my cul-de-sac. It's an evergreen and it flourishes by still waters, and that was so meaningful to me because we're supposed to be the planting of the Lord. And here he was putting a grove in our cul-de-sac just near where I was, and it's a symbol of recovery and an establishment of God's promises, and that was just so important to me at the time as well. But the other thing was, it was an emblem of peace. They often wove myrtle into the olive wreath of the Olympians when they had won, and it was a significant token of triumph. So I was just so encouraged. It was peace and triumph, and it was something that was God's provision for us. Anyway, I hope that's encouraged you. Just sometimes it's the groanings of your heart, not necessarily a big, long, laborious prayer. It's just something that God knows you need, and when you're honest to voice it to him or just call out to him in that communion with him, he answers those the most quickest, I think. Bless you in your walk with the Lord this week, and may He bring many wonderful stories to share with us all next time. Bye.